If you clicked on this video, you want to know, what did Hamilton say about his first real experience with Ferrari? And what surprising revelation did he make? Well, today we're breaking down exactly what happened when he got behind the wheel of the SF-25 for the first time, and why his reaction could change everything for Ferrari in 2025. For years, Hamilton has been used to Mercedes' philosophy, driving their cars for over a decade. Many expected his transition to Ferrari to be challenging. But what if he's already feeling something special with the SF-25? In a shocking admission, Hamilton described his first laps as something unlike anything he's ever driven before. And not only that, he called this moment one of the most exciting experiences of his career. We've been following every step of this historic move, analyzing Ferrari's upgrades, Hamilton's adaptation, and what this means for his chances in 2025. So let's get into what Hamilton really said, why it matters, and whether Ferrari has finally given him a car capable of fighting for his 8th world title. The Ferrari team wasted no time after the F175 live event in London and immediately took their new car to the track. The SF-25 made its debut laps at Fiorano, with Charles Leclerc getting the first run behind the wheel, followed by Lewis Hamilton. Could this be the car that finally puts Ferrari back in the championship fight? Leclerc and Hamilton had their first opportunity to drive the SF-25, and their reactions were surprising. Could the Scuderia have found the winning formula for 2025? The first impressions were extremely positive. Leclerc emphasized a key takeaway: there were no unpleasant surprises. The good thing is that there were no unpleasant surprises. That's what we are looking for on the first day, to see if there is something unexpected or worse than expected. And that wasn't the case. In that sense, it was a positive day. This suggests Ferrari has delivered a consistent car right from the start, something crucial for a strong season. But will this performance translate into actual results against Red Bull and McLaren? According to Formula1.it, Leclerc clocked a lap time of 56.6 seconds, which is a significant improvement over the 2024 car. For reference, Michael Schumacher holds Fiorano's track record at 55.999 seconds, meaning the SF-25 was already close to that mark in a shakedown session, with non-race tires and in cold conditions. If the SF-25 is already showing this kind of improvement at Fiorano, imagine what it could achieve in actual race conditions. Could this be the car that finally breaks Ferrari's championship drought? Leclerc remains cautious, reminding everyone that Fiorano doesn't fully represent a real racing circuit. Unfortunately, it's still too early to say anything definitive because Fiorano is a very narrow track, and F1 cars are getting bigger. But the feeling was good, and the atmosphere was incredible. The scene at the circuit was a spectacle, with Tifosi excited to witness the SF-25's first laps. Some fans even climbed trees to get a better view, proving that Ferrari's passionate supporters are as dedicated as ever. Now, what about Hamilton? How was his first experience with Ferrari? Hamilton was initially shocked when driving the SF-25. Throughout his career, he's only raced with Mercedes engines, both with McLaren and the factory Mercedes team. Now with Ferrari, he's facing an entirely new challenge, one that proved more difficult than expected. It's completely different. I thought, it's just another Formula One car. I assumed it would be similar to when I moved from McLaren to Mercedes because they both used Mercedes engines at the time. But here, at Ferrari, everything feels like a big step in a completely different direction. This means Hamilton must completely readjust to Ferrari's driving characteristics, and this transition could take longer than many people anticipate. What's even more interesting is how Hamilton described this change as one of the most thrilling moments of his career. I had been waiting for this for a long time. Starting up this car felt like embarking on a new journey. It's the most exciting thing that's happened to me in a long time. This proves that Hamilton isn't just at Ferrari to fulfill a contract. He's genuinely excited for this challenge. But the big question now is, will this adaptation slow down his title hopes in 2025? Hamilton has spent over a decade mastering Mercedes' philosophy, and now he needs to learn a completely different driving style, new car characteristics, and even a new way of communicating with engineers. Meanwhile, Leclerc is already 100% adapted to Ferrari's way of working. Could the Monegasque driver use this advantage to get ahead of Hamilton early in the season? The SF-25 is showing strong signs of improvement, and if Ferrari maintains this form in preseason testing in Bahrain, they could emerge as one of the top contenders for the title. But will this progress be enough to challenge Red Bull over an entire season? Now, we want want to hear from you. Can Ferrari finally fight for the championship in 2025? Will the SF-25 surprise everyone? Or do you still have doubts about its true potential? Drop your thoughts in the comments and make sure to subscribe to Formula One News so you don't miss any updates on this exciting new era for Ferrari. George Russell has revealed that he received a wave of criticism from Max Verstappen's fans following their on-track battles last season. But what's really behind this? Could we be witnessing the start of a new rivalry that could shake up the F1 grid in 2025? Russell versus Verstappen might not be the most talked about rivalry in Formula One, but the tension between them has been growing each season. And now, with the 2025 season just around the corner, Russell has brought up an interesting detail. He and his team received direct messages from Verstappen's fans, and not all of them were friendly. This back and forth isn't new. In 2024, we saw several heated moments between them, with the incident in Qatar standing out the most. During that race, the two fiercely battled for position, resulting in contact that sparked major debate. On track, it was just two drivers fighting for space, but online, the rivalry took on a whole new level. Russell opened up about the amount of negative messages he received from Verstappen's fans and how this kind of pressure can affect a driver's mentality. This is something that has always existed in Formula One, but today with social media, the level of criticism has become much more intense. Of course, you try to ignore it, but sometimes the messages are really harsh. The British driver knows he's in a challenging position. He's not only up against Verstappen's dominance on the track, but also facing the enormous fan base that the three-time champion has built over the years. Many of those supporters don't hold back when someone challenges their favorite driver. But can this kind of criticism really affect a professional driver? Russell was clear in saying that while praise doesn't necessarily boost performance, negative comments can take an emotional toll. And this raises an important question. How much does the online environment influence an athlete's performance? Formula One has seen great rivalries in the past, but never before have drivers had to deal with the constant pressure of social media. The psychological impact can be significant, and Russell seems to be fully aware of it. Despite this, the British driver has assured that he remains fully focused on the upcoming season and won't let online criticism distract him from what really matters: fighting for better results with Mercedes. So now the big question is, can Russell become a genuine rival to Verstappen both on and off the track? Will Mercedes have a car strong enough to put him in that fight? And what do you think? Does social media fuel F1 rivalries, or is it just part of the modern game? Let us know in the comments. It might sound unlikely, but the numbers don't lie. The three-time world champion starts the season with 8 penalty points on his super license. If he reaches 12, he will face an automatic race ban. What's even more surprising is that Verstappen doesn't seem concerned at all. When asked about the situation, he simply shrugged it off. No, but I've been in this situation before. I think I've had 9 or 10 points before, so it's just about managing the situation. For him, this is just another part of racing. But that raises an important question. Will Verstappen continue to push the limits and risk more penalties? Or will he play it safe to avoid a suspension? If he collects 4 more penalty points, Verstappen would become the first reigning world champion to be suspended from a Grand Prix. The last similar case was Michael Schumacher in 1994, but at that time, Schumacher had yet to win his first title. One key detail is that Verstappen won't start dropping penalty points until after the Austrian Grand Prix in June. That means he must get through 11 races in 2 sprints without accumulating any further infractions. But what if he actually gets suspended? It could have a massive impact on the championship battle. Losing a race in such a competitive season could cost him valuable points against rivals like Hamilton and Leclerc. And as if the pressure on the track wasn't enough, Verstappen is also expecting his first child with Kelly Piquet this year. He addressed the situation with his usual bluntness and competitive mindset. I mean, I can't miss a race unless I get too many penalty points or get punished for swearing. Anything is possible. But in F1, that doesn't exist. I can't just take 2 months off. If the birth happens during a race weekend, it happens, right? There's nothing I can do about it. Unfortunately, F1 drivers don't get time off, but at the same time, I'm not the one giving birth, am I? Verstappen's aggressive driving style has taken him to the top of Formula One. But now, will he have to adjust to avoid suspension? Or will he ignore the risk and continue attacking as always? Now, I want to hear from you. Can Verstappen go through the season without picking up more penalty points? Should he change his driving style to avoid suspension? Or just keep pushing as usual? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to Formula One News so you don't miss any updates on this exciting season.